Hello AOS fans, it's me Pete, and I'm here to give you another deck review. And this week I'm a Git. Robin's a Git, I'm a Git, we're both Gits. It's a Git versus Git match. Now, I've tried to make sure this doesn't affect my pick at all. We do try and keep our choices and our decks as generic as possible, so that might be something we would take to a tournament. But you never know, there might be a little subliminal messaging going on in there. Anyway, we'll see. So this is the deck I've picked. Starting off with objectives as always, I've got Chosen Champion because I do throw a lot of upgrades onto Zarbag, so I might as well get some glory for doing that. And then Escalation. This is an almost always pick card for me these days. It's really easy. If you're doing badly, your opponent plays a load of upgrades and then you get it. And if you're doing really well, you play a load of upgrades and then you get it. Either way, it's a win-win. I then have Our Only Way Out. Stand on 3 objectives. I've got like 9 bodies, standing on 3 of them, even though the 2 squigs can't claim objectives, should be fairly doable. And then Pure Carnage. It's maybe a little bit of a hit and miss card in most warbands, but for the Grots, a lot of bodies are going to be hitting the floor, and in especially a Grot versus Grot match, this should be real easy to score. I then got Supremacy, just like Our Only Way Out, but slightly better. Stand on 3 objectives, get 3 glory, thank you. Shining Example is next. Zarbag will almost definitely get inspired because it's so easy to inspire the Grots as long as you're not doing terribly, so I might as well get another glory for that. And then Well Guarded, have 2 people standing next to Zarbag. That should be pretty easy to achieve, considering I'm going to fill up half the board. And then one of my personal favourites, Obliterated. Kill somebody with Snurk. When you do that, you get 2 glory, as well as the glory for killing. That's 3 glory at the beginning, or during, or in the middle of a phase. That is massive. If you've got Chosen Champion in the hand, you can immediately throw a load of upgrades around, get Chosen Champion on there, and then maybe, even if you've got Escalation, that's another one scored. So you could score 6 glory in one phase with that. Then Extreme Flank. This is, again, an almost always must-have on any medium to large size warband because it's just so easy to score at the minute. We've discussed it before. Maybe it's a little too easy for 2 glory. Maybe they need to change the FAQ on it. But for now, I'm always going to take it because of that. And then Fired Up, again, I've got 9 bodies. It's pretty easy to inspire most of them, so I might as well capitalise on that. Keep Them Guessing is next. 2 glory for this. It's a great one to take, especially if you have a fighter that has a special action on their card, like Drizgit or Snurk. Either one of those will work. You can't use both though. You can only use one, and then you've got to do a move and a charge and a guard and something else, but pretty easy to pull off with the Grots. And the last one is What Armor. I take this quite often because there's a lot of different ways of getting cleave into this deck. Zarbag has it by standard. I've also got the Mutating Maul, and the Squigs also have it once they get inspired as well, so should be fairly achievable for me. So those are my objectives. I've only got 2 instant scores, but I reckon that the rest of them are pretty easy to score on 1/3 end phase card. And I think a lot of those are easy to score with a 21 glory total. So where are my gambits to help me score that glorious glory? Well, the first one is Jewel of Wits. I always take this in a 22 card deck because I just love the option of having more cards appearing in my hand. I've then got Hidden Paths because there's nothing better than having Snurk suddenly appear on your opponent's flank or backfield if he's huddling up in the back and just smashing everybody left and right. Also very useful for my manoeuvrability. And then I've got Shard Gale. This is just one of those cards I can't stop taking in my Grot deck. It brings everybody down a bit more, helps them get in a bit more of one-shot range, and a lot of my guys are in one-shot range anyway, so it doesn't really do too much damage to me, so I'm hoping against Grots as well that could be an absolute bloodbath. And then I have Quick Advance, the ability to move 2 people, especially if you've been earthquaked off of a load of objectives, to suddenly jump some of them back on can be very handy, or huddle up all your Grots so you can then do a move and have everybody scuttle off in different directions. I then have Curse of the Bad Moon. I do like this card, it's very powerful. Pick a hex once you cast a spell, and everybody in that hex and everyone adjacent to it takes 1 damage. That could be massive, especially against larger warbands like the Grots. Then Fungal Blessing, kill one of my guys, take 1 damage. I think that's a pretty fair trade for me. And Madcap Mushrooms. Get an innate lightning and an innate swirly for your next spell, but if you roll 1 crit, that counts as 2 crits, so you will take a wound. Now I've got this primarily to help with Curse of the Bad Moon, but also because I've got some other nice cards in here as well. One of those is Sneaky Stabbing, 2 lightnings, and if you cast it, you get +1 dice and cleave to the next attack roll with a range of 1 or 2. That should help me with What Armor. And the other one is Grinding Earth. Now, this card enables, if you cast it with 1 lightning, you can put a lethal hex on the board. Now, that's really handy because I've also got unchecked energy. So my plan is to kind of run forwards, dump a lethal hex right in the middle of several people, and then hopefully use unchecked energy, which is roll a dice for every fighter in or adjacent to that hex, and on a hammer or crit, they take 1 damage. Well, that, combined with Curse of the Bad Moon, you could be flinging around mad damage all over the place if you can pull it off, and that's why I want to keep Zarbag alive with lots of upgrades to hopefully also score Chosen Champion. And the last card I've got is Make Some Noise, which is move up 2 friendly squigs up to 2 hexes each. It's a push action rather than a move, so it's an extra move, and if I got Zarbag in a tasty position, I could use this first to shove them forwards and support him when he goes in for an attack. So those are my gambits, as you can see, mostly movie and some spells to try and help me use Zarbag to his full potential there. Once I've used those gambits to score the objectives to gain that glorious glory, what am I going to spend it on? Well, the first one is a Destiny to Meet. One of the bar cards. It's just a nice one to get an extra glory at the end of the game, and I'll probably have plenty of bodies to pick from to put it on. Next is Acrobatic. If you roll a dodge, then you roll an extra dice for defense. Nothing bad there. Then Deathly Fortitude. -2 move could be a bit of a pain, but +2 wounds is more than pays off for it in my book. That's nearly always a must-have card in my deck, and I wonder if it's going to end up in a bar list V2 at some point. I then have Great Fortitude and Great Strength. Not so phased about speed. I think I'll have plenty of bodies and enough speed to get where I need to be, but the Fortitude and the Strength to help me up my damage and my survivability, especially in the wake of a Shard Gale, would be very helpful indeed. And then got Shade Glass Spear, 2 hammers and 2 damage, but +1 damage if you roll a crit, 3 damage, and it's range 2, so I can attack over the mass of bodies in front of me. Very handy indeed. I've then got Vindictive Glare, which is a nice card from Zarbag. I can just sit there shooting away at people. Range of 3, needs lightnings, does 1 damage, but on a crit it does 2 damage. Next one is Volley Caller. I figured I'd give this a try because I've tried Nasty Stabber before, which gets you +2 dice if a prog is sporting, and I thought, you know what, I'll try and give someone else a bit of the limelight this time, so I figured I'd give Volley Caller a try. Could be handy to get a couple of shots off each time, although I'm still not convinced with their damage it's going to be great, but, you know, we'll see. I then got Mutating Maul, another option for Cleave to help me with Watt Armor. The ability to knock people back 2 hexes could also be very handy if I choose, plus it's 2 hammers and 2 damage. Nothing to be sniffed at there. I then got the Slumbering Key. Again, I'm going to have a lot of bodies around, so along with Destiny to Meet, Slumbering Key will be very handy to dump on somebody at the end and get a couple of extra glory. And then Tomb of Incantations. And this is primarily to go with Vindictive Glare. The ability to change one of my dice to a lightning means Vindictive Glare is pretty much a guaranteed hit every time, and much increased chances of scoring a hit all around. So that's my deck. Quite a few glory in there. I think the gambits will help me get those objectives, and the upgrades will really help me improve my survivability, my damage output, and also my glory gain from a Destiny to Meet and Slumbering Key as well. The Grots have the ability and the flexibility to be able to get a lot of different types of objectives. Things like Escalation, Our Only Way Out, Supremacy, Extreme Flank, and Keep Them Guessing are all quite high scoring cards, but all fairly easy for the Grots to pull off. So I guess we'll see how I get on with this. I'm quietly confident that against Robin I should be able to play this in a fairly offensive manner, shove a lot of my bodies forward, keep enough back to go for things like Supremacy and stuff like that, assuming I get 3 objectives in my half, and hopefully I'll romp home with a double-digit victory over Robin. But we shall see. He is playing Gits as well. It could get very bloody in the middle field, and if he's picked a load of the same upgrades as me, it could get a bit boring if we just avoid each other and just run around the board scoring all these easy-to-score objectives. Anyway, let me know what you think. Let me know what objectives, what ploys, what upgrades you definitely would or wouldn't take from this deck in a grot list. Let me know if you know of any lists that you've done incredibly well with, or any that you know absolutely suck. Maybe I'm relying too much on Zarbag and magic in this one. We shall see. And I will see you all soon in the Mirrored City. Bye!